We now know, Terrence, that the final majority the Republicans are going to have in the House, it's going to be razor thin. Let's give you the numbers. Republicans currently have 220 seats to the Democrats' 215. However, you've got Matt Gaetz, he's gone, or he's going to be gone in this next Congress. Mike Walls, Elise Stefanik, they're set to resign in the next Congress, so they can go serve in the Trump administration. So that's three. That leaves Republicans with just 217 seats, not 220, until special elections are held to replace those three seats. So here's the math. It's a two-seat majority, 217 to 215, at least until those other three seats are filled. I hope I made sense. I don't know. Did I just confuse myself? I don't think so. I think I was I think I explained it well. Thank you very much. So what can we expect as we get closer to the next Congress? Oh, I have an idea. Let's bring in Daily Signal political editor or politics editor, Bradley Devlin. You tell me, Bradley, would you like to be called political editor or politics editor? But beyond
either one works. Either one works for me. But what I will say, you nailed it. You did a great job explaining what's at issue here. We got to replace these three prominent representatives in Congress before Republicans can feel very confident in this 5-seat majority. But this razor-thin majority, what does it do? Well, it means that any two members can get together and kind of force different items that are on their personal agendas, right, that are on their constituents' agendas to try to lump that into any sort of budget reconciliation deal that's going through, whether that reconciliation deal is targeting tax cuts, is it targeting tariffs, is it targeting immigration? So Mike Johnson has a tough road to hoe ahead of him. After continuing to secure the Republican majority for another 2 years, I think he's in a stronger position than he was when he entered the office originally. But nevertheless, we have a government funding fight still upcoming in December, and that's going to tell us a lot about how the Republican conference feels about their speaker.
Bradley, a quick follow-up on that. The Trump tax cuts, you would think that could get through on a razor-thin majority extending the Trump tax cuts, but that immigration, whole different ballgame.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a difficult procedural mechanism that Johnson's going to have to use. We've seen this previously where Johnson's used something called a MIRV, an M-I-R-V, which basically means that it's one rule set passed by the Rules Committee to govern 4 different aspects of a single bill. So basically, the Rules Committee says, here are the rules that will govern our debate over these 4 different topics, and the House votes 4 different times on each of these items. Remember, this was a supplemental bill for foreign aid in particular that he used the MIRV on last time. He could use a MIRV this time, which says, okay, we're going to pass the tax cuts with this coalition. We're going to pass immigration with this coalition. We're going to pass tariffs with this coalition, and together maybe we can string together enough votes, whether they're Democrat or Republican. Obviously, most of these things are going to be single party vote. If we can string that all together, then at the end, all of those bills will get packaged together and put into law. The question, though, is can they do that not only that procedurally, but can they make it appropriate for budget reconciliation? That's a very, very difficult challenge.
Bradley, while there's lots of enthusiasm about Republicans having majority in the House and the Senate, and of course now having the White House, it seems to me that there's added pressure with these majorities to get a lot of the ideas and a lot of the agenda items passed. Obviously, you talked about the budget, but there's also the debt ceiling coming up in the new year, and there's several other big things. Does that really add to the pressure, having the majorities across the board to make sure that something actually gets done?
Oh, I think this is the window, right? The chances are that Republicans are going to get wiped out in 2026 in the midterms. Why? The Senate map doesn't look great, and the coalition that the Republican Party uses to win elections every 4 years, potentially in the presidential election, just doesn't show up to special elections and midterm elections like the Democratic Party's current base does. And so you have 18 months to get everything done, just like we had in the first 2 years of the Trump administration last time. And the pressure is on because last time Paul Ryan and the Republican Party in the House failed to deliver what President Trump's voters and constituents were hoping they'd get out of the House of Representatives. Mike Johnson, I think, is going to be a better ally to President Donald Trump than Paul Ryan ever was. But nevertheless, it's not just Mike Johnson, right? He doesn't rule the conference with an iron fist like Nancy Pelosi does. A lot of different members are going to have to get little carrots or sticks dangled in front of them to get in line and pass the president's agenda.
Joe Biden is weighing preemptive pardons. We're hearing about it all the time. He's about to leave office. He doesn't care, and he knows that there's a lot of lawlessness in his own family. We've seen reports like this one in Politico saying Biden's weighing pardons for people he believes could be investigated by the incoming Trump administration. Deliberations are currently underway for these measures. How damaging would this move be?
I mean, it'd be terrible, but it would be specifically terrible for the Democratic Party. Joe Biden's legacy, there's not much of a legacy there. The reason that he pardoned his son was a big, bird to the Democratic Party, who will have to live with the final actions of this Democratic president going forward. He won't have to suffer those political ramifications. But if he does decide to pardon members of his administration before the Republicans can act against them, I think what that sets up is a lot of folks are going to be really upset that there's going to be no accountability in Washington, D.C. for the failures of the last 4 years. Trump was elected to deliver accountability, to shake things up. We've seen that with Doge and Elon and Vivek and the like. And Biden trying to prevent that preemptively, I think it would also tip the cap to, there was something improper going on here. And if Republicans do get to the end of it, well, they're not going to be able to prosecute anyway. I don't think that should stop Republicans. I don't think any sort of pardon should stop Republicans from at least investigating the failures of the last 4 years. And, sometimes that alleviates some of the pressure that Republicans would feel because, do we really want to indict a former president, or do we want to indict members of the president's family, et cetera? I mean, those are difficult political calculations sometimes. We think of the Gerald Ford Nixon era. We've just absolved Republicans of that. So now, I mean, they can go in guns blazing and try to uncover as much as they can. And I think that's what Joe Biden is afraid of.
Bradley Devlin, really good information. Donald Trump does the weave, you do the Merv this morning. So thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Merv, I learned something new. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.